Hey guys, for today's video, we're going to be toning down my client's brassy hair, refreshing her lived-in color, and giving her this really pretty ashy tone. To start the service off, we're going to use my Schwarzkopf Blonde Me with 20 volume and Olaplex. Okay, here's my client's before. You can see that she has quite a bit of grow out, and actually underneath here you can see she has like no color in her hair. So she had her hair done by me a couple of years ago, and it's been a while since she had her hair done again. She went somewhere else, was super unhappy with it. She wanted basically the same color that we had done before, which was a really pretty darker, ashier tone, which if I remember, I will link it in the description because I do believe that I recorded that service. She wanted that color done when she went and got her hair done by somebody else, and she was super unhappy with the tone. It was very warm and caramely still. They said that they wouldn't be able to accomplish that tone of hair, and she knew that wasn't true because we were able to accomplish it before. So she said that she felt like she learned her lesson and she's just going to come back and we're going to do it again. She was unhappy about the fact that when she did her hair last time, she wanted it all done and the person like didn't touch anything on the underneath part of her hair. So we're going to make sure that we go through and do a full foliage today, just to make sure that we add that color in the underneath portion of her hair. So you'll see me as I'm going to do kind of like this pattern up the whole back of her head. I'm going to do like a straight across and then two diagonal sections on either side, and then work my way up the head doing that same exact pattern. So just straight across and then two diagonals on either side, straight across, and so on and so forth. So here we go with our straight across piece. You can see those diagonal sections that we took kind of created like a triangle section. So this straight across piece is going to connect everything. That way I feel like there's not just a whole bunch of like dark holes in the head. We are leaving a lot of depth within her hair, but the way that we're doing it, we're making connections throughout the whole thing. So she's not going to have just like random pieces of hair that don't make any sense. She's going to have hair that is going to stand out because we're leaving a lot of that depth in that like inner part of that triangle is going to leave a lot of depth, and that's going to make all these like top pieces that we're doing, those are going to stand out a lot more. By the way, while we're all just sitting here enjoying the view, I'm going to give you my little hot take on why I think that the previous stylist wasn't able to lighten her hair bright enough to be able to give her a nice, cool, ashy tone. So if you see, she has a lot of like level 8, 9, some areas where there's like level 7s throughout her hair. So she was definitely left to be very caramely, which is fine if that's what somebody wants. But we all know that like not everybody wants caramel hair right now, bruh. So like lift better. So the point is that a lot of people think when you're dealing with dark hair anywhere from like level 1 to 4 that they automatically want to grab like 30 or 40 volume. I'm not saying that's what the stylist did. I don't even know who it was or whatever, but I'm just guessing that this is probably what happened because I see so many people do it, is that they end up grabbing like 30 or 40 volume thinking like it's stronger, I'm going to get better lift or whatever, and that's not always the case. What happens is that 30 and 40 volume, like, yeah, maybe you think it's stronger because you get like a really big, like strong lift initially, but because you're basically getting all that energy pushed out in the initial like 30 minutes or something of the application, this color is sitting on her hair for like hours, okay, this bleach. So if you're just using 30 or 40 volume and you're getting like the most of your application power within the first 30 minutes, I mean, I'm already probably 30 minutes into this application. Like, look at how little I have done. I've not made my way that far up the hair. So if I'm at 30 or 40 minutes right now and the strength of 30 or 40 volume is already gone, from here it's just going to start getting weak. So that lift power is already used up, it's already gone. So now you're applying 30 and 40 volume and the power's already gone. So now it's going to start lifting really, really slow and not really do very much. So that's why a lot of people, when they use like 30, 40 volume on dark hair, usually they're stuck with like a caramel tone because this bleach weakened out over time and it didn't lift very far. So another thing is too large of sectioning. Normally when I do somebody that has really dark hair, I try to go through and do thinner sections. So you'll see that I am doing like extremely heavy saturation in her foils, because I know that we're going to tone down to an ashier tone. Like if she wanted to be super icy white blonde, my section size would be much, much smaller. But because I know we're toning down and she's going to be cool, I'm comfortable doing a little bit more of a thicker section, even though these are still like, they're not that thick of sections that I'm doing right now. So your saturation and your section size is another reason why you're not getting good lift, why maybe this past stylist didn't get very good lift, is because the sections in which she was taking were too thick or too big. So back on the whole bleach thing, why not to use 30 or 40 volume? That's why I never really go over 20 volume. I just use 20 volume. Sometimes I'll even add 7 volume to it. It's a little bit slower of a developer. So when you have dark hair that you're working with and you use 20 volume, it's a more slower, consistent lift versus just like pushing out all this energy, bleach, trying to lift the hair really fast initially, but then it dies out faster. Like 7, 10, 20 volume or whatever, that's going to be like a much slower lift. It's going to be more consistent. So your results are going to be much better because the power of the bleach is going to last longer than 30 volume. Just, you know, if you don't get it in within like the first 15 minutes or whatever, then you might not do very well. So 30 volume and 40, well, no, not 40 volume. So I don't ever use 40 volume. The only time I use 30 volume is if I've, say like this service, if she's been sitting for 2 hours and she needs that little push past level 8, I might go mix like 30 volume and just put it on over the bleach that's already on her hair and just try to get her to push past that level 8 just like really quickly. Let it sit for maybe 20 minutes and that's it. That's the only time that I ever use 30 volume. So this is why I think that she was stuck at a level 8. The 30 volume, the section size is too big and then not as good of saturation that you need. So I see a lot of people when they put bleach on, they just like brush the bleach on really quickly, maybe like swish it around a little bit and call it good. When you're dealing with dark hair, you need to layer that bleach on there. It needs to be extremely thick. It needs to look like toothpaste basically is on the hair. Let me point this out. This piece that I'm doing right now on the very left, that's a little bit too thick of a piece. And I knew that doing it, but I'm going to do extremely thick saturation, so my lift is still going to be okay. If I just went through and just like did a really quick like thin layer of bleach on top of it, then I would not get good lift. But you can see, because I'm really adding a ton amount of bleach on there, my lift is still going to be okay. And I'm going to hit it with like a blow dryer, give it some heat to help it process a little bit better. So those are just some tips for you guys. I see a lot of people that come in and are like, I'm always stuck at caramel. I can never get past caramel. This last like 10-minute rant that I went on, if you stick with 20 volume, if you do much thinner sections, and if you do a thicker amount of bleach, I don't want to say that I can guarantee that you'll get better lift, because I don't want you to come here and yell at me and tell me that you didn't get good lift, but I can almost guarantee that you'll get better lift. Okay. So just, toss the 30 volume. Like, y'all don't need that. Okay. It's damaging. You don't need it. It wears out. It's not good. So anyways. Whew. It's been a while since I've done a long enough video to go on a good 10-15-minute rant. I feel good about myself right now. I feel like I used up all my words for the day. Good job, Christy. Pat on the back. So anyways, what we're doing right now is, you'll see that I've changed my weave pattern to be a little bit more of a chunkier weave. So the picture that she showed me, it had definitely like very rooty, very like lived in still, but in the very root area, like, the whole crown area, whatever, there is just like more defined pieces of blonde going through the hair. So I'm kind of changing from more of a blended weave to more of like a defined chunkier weave. And this is going to create more of those like defined streaks in the hair. So we're still going to back comb it and everything, because I don't want it to be like super chunky and whatever. I still want it to blend really nicely, but I want it to be more like piecey, like the picture that she showed me. All right, so I'm just making sure that in fact is where her hair usually falls when she parts it. She's kind of content with where her hairline and money piece foils are right now as far as the grow it is. So she's not necessarily wanting to do like a whole bunch of foils like tight directly up into her scalp or side of her face or anything like that. So I'm just going to work what's already there. So I'm just going to do some diagonal back combed weaves and just kind of blend what she already has. I'm not trying to like add a whole bunch more brightness or anything like that. And also I'm taking these weaves because she doesn't want it directly on her face, to not have to worry about grow it or anything. So I'm taking it probably like a 1/4 inch off of the front hairline. That way she's not going to have just like all of a sudden like one little chunky piece like at her temple and that's it. So I am taking it a little bit just off of the hairline slightly. That way it still blends really nicely. And I'm not sure, but I think you guys get a better view from this angle over here. So I'm just going to do this side up and not show you the other side because I don't want to like bore you guys or anything like that. So I'm just going to show you doing this side of the head, but just so you know, I did the exact same thing on the other side. I'm just not going to like throw it in here. All right, so now we're going to go in and do her money piece. And I know that she said that she's kind of happy with where it is right now, but like, I don't want to go in and like refreshen her roots everywhere else. And then she just has like this like grown out money piece. Like, what even is that? So I'm just going to go in with like a really fine foil, freshen it up. We're not going to do it like too heavy where it's going to be like this big, huge, chunky, super bright blonde piece or anything like that. It's still going to be blended, lived in. I'm doing more diagonally like off the underneath of her part. We're not going to go straight down the forehead, which would be a little bit more of a bold money piece. So all of this is kind of laying underneath. So it's still, even though we're going a little bit closer and tighter up to the scalp, we are going to blend into the root slightly. We are back combing it, so it is going to help blend a little bit more. And then at the end of the service, when we do the root shadow part, I am going to tap the roots a little bit in the money piece area. That way it just softens it, so she still feels a little bit rooty in like that super brighter piece up in the front. All right, and now that we're finishing over here, we're going to do the same thing on this side. I'm just not going to show you guys because, again, I don't want you guys clicking off this video because you're bored, so. All right, now we are in the home stretch. I feel like it's like once you get to that last section of a 3-hour application, doesn't it just make you feel so happy that you're like, oh my God, like I literally just have to finish doing this last little section and then I'm going to be done. And it makes you feel so much happier about yourself because you're like, finally, the time has come. So that's where we're at right now. This is just the last little section. And I do want to say that I did refresh in my bleach for this last little part right here. I didn't want to refresh my bleach when I did her money piece because it tends to be a little bit more fine in that section. So I wanted to use a weaker bleach that I know won't cause any damage to her hair or anything. So after I did her money piece section, I went to go make a new fresh bowl of 20 volume bleach. That way it's nice and fresh and it will have a little bit more of a stronger lift than if I just use bleach that's been sitting here for like an hour or whatever. So this is going to help it lift a lot better than, like, sometimes I see people make like, do like 3 huge scoops of bleach for like the whole head. And that also is not a good thing. Or they'll do like, they'll make like 3 bowls of bleach, 1, 10, 20, and 30 for as they work their way around the head. And it's like that 20 and 30 volume's been sitting out for like over an hour now and you're going to use it. It's like the power is gone. Like, stop pre-making your bowls of bleach. Do 1 scoop at a time. Keep pre-mixing if you need to. Who cares about saving time? Like, you're not saving time thinking that you're pre-mixing your bleach. You're actually losing time because now you have to sit and wait forever for it to do anything because the power is gone. So 1 scoop of bleach at a time, people. Just charge extra for the bleach. You're not like saving money or time or whatever if that's what you think you're doing. You're not. Just like 1 scoop at a time. So anyways, I went and freshened my bowl of bleach for this top section. That way it has like an equal opportunity to lift as light as the rest of the hair that's been sitting there for practically like 15 hours at this point. So we're just going to finish off these last few little foils. We're just going to do like some stronger weaves. And then right when I get here into the section where her part falls, I'm doing a little bit thinner of some sections, and I'm bringing my foils in closer together with less of a subsection. That way I make sure that I have coverage throughout the whole area of her part. So we're just going to finish putting in these foils. Then I'm going to flip to the other side, and that will be it for my first half of the bleach application. And just FYI for time frame, this probably took me about 3.5 hours to get this in. All right, this is how you safely lift through previously lightened ends. So her hair right now has been sitting for probably about 45 minutes. That's the lift that she got. So now that her roots are probably sitting at a level 7, 8, and that's exactly where her ends are too, and we want to brighten up the ends a little bit more. I'm going to start going through every foil that we've put in, and her roots are going to continue processing, and I'm going to go through with a weak bleach that's been sitting out since when I did the 20 volume over the top part of my last sectioning that I did. This bleach has been sitting out for quite a while at this point, so it's pretty dulled down. I probably watered it down even more so. So I'm running this weak bleach through all of the ends of her hair to try to get, hopefully to like a level 9 is my goal. So I'm going to start going through all of the ends of her hair. You can see here, this is getting nice, good lift. We're using Olaplex. We're going to do lots of treatments through the service. Her hair is fine. I'm checking it along the way. Make sure if you're running bleach through the ends, make sure you're checking the integrity of the hair. Don't push it beyond what it's okay going to. So I'm just going to check everything and reapply where it's needed. All right, now that I have pretty much all of my bleach done, I'm going to go through with this equal parts, and we're going to go through basically where she's like a level 7 or 8. I'm going to go through and start toning down those super dark brassy pieces that I don't want to have to worry about lightening through. Like, her goal is not to be super light everywhere. She still wants to be lived in and have like that natural depth. So I'm taking this like cooler shade, and I'm going to start painting through those orangey, brassier pieces that are in her hair. And I know that I'm going to be picking up some of those light. I'm going to try to prevent picking up any of those super like level 9s in her hair. I want to try to preserve the lightest pieces as possible. So you're going to see me like pulling some of those pieces aside, and then just painting through the rest of her hair to try to get rid of much of that like caramely brassier tone as possible. All right, here you can see a little bit better. I'm trying to weave out like those darker caramely tones. Those are the tones that we're going to be coloring over, and then those lighter pieces we're going to pull aside and preserve those and just tone them down later to be more of like the ashier tone. But these like level 6, 7s, these are everything that we're going to start toning down throughout the rest of our hair. And as I'm working my way up, I'm also re-bleaching through some of these areas that could get a little bit brighter. So you can see anything that's like stuck at like a level 8.5, 9, that's everything that we're going to try to get to like a true 9. We want to make sure that we can try and get that as light as possible. Anything that's darker than that, we're just going to paint it to the darker shade, because we're trying to go to like a lighter ashier shade, because that's one of the pictures that she showed me was a little bit lighter of a cooler ashier tone than what we had done initially. So I figured that we'll try to lighten up as much as we can and then also tone down the rest. So here's the rest of her final application as far as adding that depth back in her hair, and then the lightening goes. And this whole process probably took about 4.5, 5 hours. And because we lighten her hair so much before we tone it, we're going to do an Olaplex treatment to even out porosity. And this is what we're toning for, to be like nice and icy. And I'm hoping that that level 9 is enough to kick out any of those warmer spots. And no. Okay, guys, so I went through and I used my Paul Mitchell for her toning that we did earlier, just the 10 PA and the 9 P, and honestly, I added like a quick little drop of the 8 PA just for any of those darker tones that were in her hair and to hopefully help it grab a little bit on the cooler side. She definitely wants it to be ashy. I still feel like there's a lot of warmth in her hair. I feel like it really didn't cool down as much as I was thinking it would. I thought it would really grab nice and icy and cool, whatever. So I think I'm gonna go through and right now we're going to do her root shadow, which I think I'm gonna go through with like some 721, 811, and like 7. So I'll probably do half of my formulation, the 7, and like a quarter of these two. Now remember, this 2-1 series grabs super ashy, extremely like green, like super on the green side. So I'd be really cautious if you guys are ever using this. I might even do like half of my formulation, the 7, a little bit more of my formulation of the 811 and just a smidge of the 721. So that's what I'm thinking I'm going to do for her root shadow. And then probably the last few minutes that it's sitting, I'm probably going to take her to the shampoo bowl and just pull that through her ends to deposit more of an ashy tone through the ends of her hair. All right, and my math sucks. So half of the formulation is the 7, a little bit more of the 811 in comparison to the 721. So, you know, if you guys want to throw the math down there, be my guest, but that's how I did my formulation. So we're going to go through and hit her roots with this root shadow and then comb it down through the ends, not with a wide or not with a fine tooth comb. We're using more of a wide end of a comb because I want to make sure that it like drags down, but not necessarily like strips and pulls the color off. So we're just going to use the wide end of a comb to help blend the color. All right, so after we do this final application, this is going to sit for about 20 minutes, and then I'm going to pull it through the ends, and hopefully it will tone down the rest of the hair, in which case it did not. It just started grabbing in those really lighter pieces more of a greener tone, so I had to rinse it out immediately. Okay, so her hair is pretty, it's a lot brighter, but still has a lot of like, it looks warm from like that older like caramel tones that were in her hair that we didn't cover 100%. So I'm gonna go through with half 8 PA and half 9 PA because she wants to go much icier or much cooler. So we're gonna use that. All right, here we go. You can see that this tone is actually grabbing like a really pretty ash. So you can tell the difference between like a green ash and like a violety ash. Like this is actually much better. Is that tone looking better for you? All right, so you can see the color as we're drying it. She's much happier with the tone. It definitely looks a lot cooler. And I want to show you guys, like, look at how nice and cool it looks right now. But you'll see in the very after shot, it looks kind of warm still because we're, like, in the natural lighting. It's kind of, like, getting towards, like, almost sunset time. So then, like, that warm light coming into the salon is kind of brightening up and warming her color up. So, but as for her color, though, you can see, like, right now how nice and ashy it looks. It's definitely a lot brighter than what we had done before, but that was kind of the picture that she sent me, was like a much like icier, like cooler, ashier blonde instead of like a true level 6 ash. But I told her if she feels like the toner's warming up too fast or whatever, she can just let me know and we'll just go through and do like the color that we did previously, which is like the darker, ashier tones. So any of the warmth that's left behind, I feel like that's from when we back comb the hair and it pushes those hairs up. Any of those caramel tones that got pushed up while we were doing the color and then got combed back out. I feel like that's where any of those like leftover warm tones are from. Because I feel like everything else did a really good job of like toning down or canceling out. So I was definitely much happier with this color. I think it ended up toning down really nicely. So here's her before again. Definitely very like brassy, needing her roots refreshed definitely. And here's her after. You can see where that light is coming in. It's just kind of like adding some warmth, but in some areas and angles it definitely looks like the true ashier tone that it is. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you like the video and don't forget to like and subscribe. Oh, for anybody who's going to ask, this service in full took about 7 hours, a little bit over 7 hours, and her total came out to be $650 because I charge an hourly rate of $100 an hour for full lightening services. So even though we were toning and adding dimension and everything, basically this was a lightening service. So anyways, don't forget to subscribe.